Welcome back, Michelle. It's great to see you.
Hey Dan, how are you?
I'm good. Enjoying our best kind of summer life here. It's definitely hot right now.
Yep,
So,
I'm free of kids and it's kind of interesting about that.
this is the summer camp season, the time for the kiddos to go out on their adventures. And I mean, it sounds like your kids have definitely had some adventures this summer. So,
Yeah. But the interesting thing is you don't get updates as often as they get older. And as a parent, that's a little disconcerting, but as a um parent, I really should be embracing this and I get to just not have to be home at a certain time or if we want to go out, we can do that. So it's kind of nice.
all
You doing
right.
anything new and fun this summer?
Well, speaking of, and I know we're going to kind of talk about it a little bit later. So, I just wrapped up a pickleball season with a team
Cool.
that I was with for the summer. And this was my first time doing pickleball, which I know there are definitely some professional pickleballers out there because you and I have talked to both of them in our practices. So, I just did it for fun. And I would say coming in with like zero knowledge of it, other than I watched a YouTube video before, we walked on
Of
the court,
course.
but it was fun. It's kinda like it's like ping pong meets a tennis court. It was
Yeah,
enjoyed
it's
it.
pretty physical though. I would say that a lot of people get into it because they worry about injuring themselves with tennis, but it's like a lateral move from tennis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say, and I watched this 'cause in our league, there was definitely people at all sorts of, skills and ability levels. I would say we were at the bottom of that, that tier, or at least that's all I'll speak for myself since, brand new to it. And I would say, my general, words of wisdom from that is it's not worth it going after that ball on a court that's not soft.
Has this decreased your Peloton?
I would say no, this was more of a, like, a social thing, which I think is
Oh, okay.
another fun thing about pickleball. Like, it was a team of us, and there's 4 of us, so we'd kinda rotate through, and it was interesting because it was kinda like a league night, and so on your league nights, you would have, like, 3 games, and pickleball goes to, like, I think, like, 11 points or so, and so it was a fun thing. Like, you would just show up, you play your pickleball, and then you would, like, go out and, like, hang out with some people from the league. So I thought it
Hang
was.
out sweaty. So you're playing outside?
Yes, playing outside, but at the end of the day, so this one was at night, so I think our court times were around, like, 8 at
Oh, okay.
night, so it was definitely
It's a good
later.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, like, out of the sun, and it was covered, which was nice too. I mean, but still outdoors, and you're sweating like crazy, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it did make me, one of the things I wanna talk about for our review today was, so again, total newbie novice kind of here, and, one of the things I wanted to kinda review was how do you select a pickleball paddle? And when you go to Amazon, it's like one of 500 different types of sets, but they
Right.
all look the same. So,
Right.
like, it was definitely, like, I would say one of the one I ended up getting, which again, I'm sure there are definitely, like, tiers of quality. Mine was, like, maybe, like, 30 bucks or so, and it was, 2 paddles and, like, and 2 balls or whatever in a little case. But they all look like they're manufactured, in China, and they're the same kinda thing.
Yeah, I found, after having we have a couple different types of paddles. We have that starter set that comes as everything together, and then you can get the individual paddles.
Oh,
So,
girl, you sound like even pro level up there.
I've been playing for a little bit, but I would say is after having to replace balls just from using, so the balls do break down and then they just but it's how far away the holes are from each other. So,
Oh,
a
okay.
whole the sort of thing. If it's too soft, then you have to actually use a lot harder to hit. If it's too hard, it goes faster for sure, but you don't have as much time to react. So, I kinda like somewhere in the middle,
Mhm.
and it doesn't really matter what color they are, but a lot of them are yellow, some of them are green.
Right.
But I have definitely had the people that I play with, mostly my kids, but I've had them say, "Don't get those green balls again." So I just have to kinda pay attention because some of them 'em, they're just really bad. And you wouldn't think, because it's not filled like tennis balls, but you wouldn't think you have to replace them pretty often. But if you're playing, I think particularly because of the heat and in Florida and how many times you're whacking it, they
Right.
do and I don't wanna say deflate, that's the wrong word, but they do morph, and then they don't go in the right direction.
Oh, yeah. I could see that. Again, I mean, I think the place we
So
went to.
upgrade your balls, not your paddles.
Okay, well, there you go. That's the takeaway message. I would also say, think twice if diving after that ball is worth it. So,
So that leads us into our episode today is we wanted to talk about creating that safe sleep space and some top tips to create that space that you're going to be able to sleep not only most comfortably, but most safely. So a lot of times, Dan, when we were talking about this before, like what exactly do we want to talk about? We know with babies in the research around sudden infant death syndrome, that it's really important for babies to have a safe sleep space that doesn't have any loose pieces, any soft pieces. So no pillows, no these blankets and comforters. And that's where sleep sacks have become so that you don't have a baby who gets away from a blanket and then it can smother them. So sleep sacks have arms and all of the extra fabric is down by the feet that cannot travel up. So babies in particular, infants under a year old, babies who can't flip themselves over, they have more incidents of dying and asphyxiation if they're not put to bed on their back and stay on their back with nothing around them in a safe place as a crib or a bassinet. So, because this is a podcast and we're talking to you guys, the adults that want to sleep better or the adults with their children that want to sleep better, we're going to talk about other types of ways to create the sleep space. And this is not about babies, but think about a baby who's constantly cuddled or a person who's constantly free from other things that are around. You may create that sleep space depending on who you are. So the first tip is, do you like to be cuddled and smushed around? Or do you like to be open and free and cooler? So Dan, talk a little bit about that.
oh yeah, well, there's definitely kind of variability on what people kind of really prefer. Some people, want to be like, hugging a pillow and squishing that thing, or that's why they make those full length body pillow types of things, and
Or
then
even
wrap.
the weighted blankets, which we've talked about.
Yep. Yep. And then others are like, "Nope, I want nothing on me, like, no sheets, you kick them all off." And this is where I would really say it comes down to, like, your own personal kind of, like, preference, which is kind of also about knowing your own body and what works well for you. This is also why I would say, and this kinda dovetails with that sleep environment, like, in the bed. Some bed partners like to be close to who they're sleeping with. The other one might like to be further away. And so that's where I would say thinking through like what actually works better for you and also acknowledging that what works good for you might not be the same thing that works for, your bed partner as well.
But have that discussion because sometimes people think, oh, they just don't want to be next to me or they don't want to feel my breath on them or something's wrong with me. So have that discussion. If you are a solitary sleeper, it doesn't mean you don't like that other person that's in bed with you.
Oh yeah, right. And the other thing too is I see a lot of this kind of with like positional maybe kind of sleeping too. Like some people like to lay on their
Yes.
side, some people like to lay and again I would say, it's kind of fascinating. There's so much kind of like nonverbal like communication that happens, when you're in your bed with your bed partner. And when in reality, you're just trying to find something that's comfortable for you. You're not trying to make a statement on I don't like this person, I do like this person, or I don't wanna touch you, or I do wanna touch you, or all those types of
So
things.
that's number two. It's a what body position. And we did an entire episode on body positions that are specific for certain medical things. So, from creating a safe sleep space, I want to say that if you snore or you have something that you might think are sleep apnea, or let's say you've had a lot of sedatives at night, maybe a pain medicine or alcohol, the safest sleep space place for you is not flat on your back. And so anything other than completely flat on your back is fine. So whether or not you have an adjustable bed where you can raise the head up a little bit, or if you can get yourself into in BLS and in recovery CPR, we put people in a recovery position, which is laying on your side. Whether it's your left side or your right side, from a sleep standpoint, maybe your shoulder hurts on the left and you wouldn't want to be on your left. So maybe the right side of your body would be easier. A lot of people get concerned because of the baby literature that sleeping on your stomach is bad for you, and it's not. It's not bad for you. The dermatologists don't like it because it creates wrinkles in your face. And if you have had a fair amount of alcohol and you are like passed out, you don't want to pass out on your face from a safety standpoint. But
Right.
again, it's going to be dependent on you. So don't look it up on the internet. Try different things and feel what works the best for you. And if you are gasping or choking or not sleeping well flat on your back and you have some of the suggested symptoms of sleep apnea, get checked out.
Yeah, absolutely. So a clarifying question for you, Michelle, because I've had this question come up before, is laying on your back, like when you're laying flat on your back, but if let's say, is that the same thing as laying in an adjustable bed, but with your head raised, even though you're still on your back? Is that the same position?
So technically, no. So that's at an incline and it has to do with airway shape. And now when we put our heads up, because our spine is not completely flat, when we put our heads up at an angle, we are actually increasing the amount of airflow that we're going to get through our nose and down to our throat as long as we keep our mouths closed. So if you open your mouth and your head is back, you're pretty much staying in that flat position. But if you can keep your mouth closed and have your head up, you are actually creating what's called a sniffing position. So think about if you're on your side and you're sniffing a cup of soup or something in front of you, that's the best way to open up an airway if you're not laying on your side with your head forward. That's a great question because it comes up a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely like I think an important part too because there's so many different ways that people try to find comfortable kind of sleeping positions, and the question is, are those the same thing? And you're
Or buy more expensive beds or pillows.
for sure, like the ones we reviewed, whenever our last, field trip to the expensive mattress stores were.
Yeah. And number three, from a safe sleep space perspective, we have talked about it on a few different episodes, is about temperature. So it is really important for safe sleeping that your body temperature is lower. Now, right now, as we're recording this, the summer of 2026, it's the hottest on record worldwide. And so it's really important to understand that there are many more heat related deaths than there are cool related deaths. And this is so much important with regards to sleep because in certain stages of sleep, like REM, you don't control your body temperature. And if you're not controlling your body temperature and it's heating up, there's going to be physiologic processes and particularly the processes of sweating that will maybe dehydrate you, create lower blood pressure. And we've talked about before how many medicines you guys are all on. Okay. If it's not a sleep problem, it's for blood pressure or cholesterol. And a lot of these will affect your kidneys and your liver if you are too hot. So, temperature, whole different episode on that, and we can link it in the show notes. But the temperature that is written down on paper is somewhere in the 60s for improving your sleep. And we discussed that feel into that as well. But a hot body is not a safe sleep position body. So if your
Right.
air conditioning goes out or you are hot and you are in a place where you don't have air conditioning right away, changing the fabrics that are on your body, cooling yourself down, maybe putting some water on your body or your head or the back of your neck, that can be really helpful without going to the extreme of getting the bed jet or the chili pad, which again, love that for you if you're able to do that and you want to do that. But in the short term, from a safe standpoint, you want your body to be cooler.
Absolutely. And really, this kind of speaks to from a coolness perspective, you also want sheets that are very breathable. So, cotton types of sheets or things that have a woven type of that can allow air passage and moisture passage through the sheet will definitely help a lot. And I know we talked about that temperature kind of zone and how I mean you and I have talked about like I think 72 degrees is like freezing cold. but but that's also like the ideal temperature is much lower. So, I mean, again, you have to work it through for what is gonna be good for you and your sleep environment. So,
Yeah. So to recap, the top three that we're going to say for creating a safe sleep environment is number one, know whether or not you need to be compressed or more free. Number two, Dan,
number 2 and Michelle, actually, my apologies, I'm totally lapsing on our second one. What did we just talk about?
I lapsed too, but let's go to number three is
Whatever
about the temperature.
temperature, I do
So
remember that.
number two was about body position.
Okay, there
And
we
so
go.
we
And
just went in a different word, and that's okay. So when you're thinking about when You wonder if we are scripting. This is a non-scripted. We are just talking about things that we know a lot about. We're doing the research, we are, but we're not necessarily reading off of a script.
And that actually, another kind of dovetails into another episode about body position that we're going to do later in the future was, and I wanted to circle back to this because laying on your side from a glymphatic system perspective also appears to be a more helpful kind of position for the brain too. But we'll dive into that since that research is fascinating, but also kind of not super conclusive on some of those things. But there is kind of this thinking that when you're on your side, it helps the brain flush out stuff a little bit easier. So,
I don't know. I consider that a little fake news, but we'll dive into it a little bit more.
yes, I know. Well, because it's a lot of it's come from animal models and it's not super clear. And yes, yes, but we should because I think some of this is making its way into the news cycle at times. So,
It's okay. There'll be a pill for that soon. Anyway, that's the end of this episode. And until next time, we hope that you sleep well, stay tuned, subscribe, and we hope you have a good week.
all right. Till next time, Sleep Nation. Bye bye.